Hi, everybody, and welcome to Soothing Science, where your skin knows more about the moon than you probably do. Right now, maybe you're tucked in, or maybe just scrolling while pretending to wind down. Either way, let me paint you a little picture. Above you, a pale moon drips silver light across rooftops, trees, and window panes. Somewhere far beneath your covers, your skin, yes, your skin is paying attention. It doesn't need your conscious approval. It's already registering the light, the temperature, the timing of it all. It's already begun. Your melatonin production has kicked off, and not because your brain told it to. Your skin did, and you probably won't survive this without ever using your skin as a sensory organ again. Don't worry, I mean metaphorically, mostly. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop your city and local time in the comments below. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge through the evening without noticing what your skin already knows. It's scanning. Soft photons from a distant street lamp hit your arm. A reflection from the TV grazes your neck. Somewhere between the kitchen and the couch, your skin has registered the ambient light level and started adjusting its hormonal recipe like a chef who doesn't even wait for the guests to sit down. That's the thing. Your skin has photoreceptors, light-sensitive proteins, not just for tanning or freckling or those uninvited sunburns. We're talking deeper intelligence. Your skin can see light in a biochemical way, interpreting it, responding to it, especially the quiet spectrum of moonlight. While your brain is still wondering whether to watch one more episode, your skin already knows it's night. It's already working on your behalf. Here's the twist. Melatonin, the sleepy hormone we often associate with the brain, isn't just manufactured upstairs in your pineal gland. It's also brewed locally, right there in your skin. Melatonin works both day and night, and its day job might be protecting your largest organ from the stress of light itself. Let's zoom back for a second. Ancient humans lived under the rhythms of the sun and moon. No blue light, no fluorescence, no doom scrolling until 2 a.m. Their skin, like yours, evolved as an interface with that natural light cycle. Historians still argue whether Paleolithic humans slept in one long stretch or two segmented chunks, but they mostly agree on this. Light shaped everything. Now imagine your modern skin trying to keep up. It's still equipped with the same sensory setup, but you've got LED light coming at you from every angle. And your skin, it's quietly panicking. Not in a stop the world way, more like a subtle, should we be awake way. And so begins the nightly negotiation between your skin's wisdom and your lifestyle choices. In folklore, the moon has always been a feminine symbol, mysterious, soft, luminous. In real life, your skin registers it in nanometers of reflected sunlight, a spectral whisper that triggers processes you barely feel. Melatonin starts to build, not just to make you sleepy, but to protect, soothe, regulate. Your cells hear the call. It's time to turn inward. Fun fringe fact, certain animals can tan under moonlight. Yes, really. There's ongoing debate among researchers about whether this is an evolutionary accident or a protective function that's scaled with light sensitivity. Humans may not tan from moonlight, but our skin still recognizes it, still calibrates itself to those ancient, silent cues. Meanwhile, your pineal gland, the brain's melatonin factory, is waiting. It doesn't start pumping melatonin until about 2 hours after your usual bedtime. That's the official dim light melatonin onset in circadian science circles. But your skin, it's already on the job. It's like the overachieving intern of your endocrine system. And here's where it gets slightly magical. Melatonin made in the skin doesn't just drift passively, it moves with intention. Through dermal layers into the bloodstream, whispering to cells, nudging processes, shielding DNA from oxidative harm. You, meanwhile, are brushing your teeth in LED bathroom glare, mostly unaware that your biology is mid-ballet. Let's talk Roman times for a second. Historians note that upper-class Roman women applied a variety of balms and oils to their eyelids before bed, not just for beauty, but to enhance vision clarity in dreams. The contents of those potions? Hard to say. Lavender, or maybe even crushed minerals or herbs with mild sedative effects. While we can't prove they were tapping into melatonin, the instinct to care for the eyes and skin before sleep was clearly already there. The modern version? You swipe on a serum, maybe a night cream, perhaps a dab of under-eye gel that promises overnight renewal. And your skin size, finally something familiar. The thing is, you're not fighting your skin's biology, you're confusing it. The moonlight filtering through your blinds is a biological lullaby, but your overhead lights, your glowing fridge, your phone, all that tells your skin to hold off, to wait. And so the balance tips. Your melatonin response weakens. Your repair cycles stutter. Still, even in this chaos, your skin remains faithful. Every night it tries again, tries to time the light, to feel the air shift, to interpret the mood of your environment. Every night it whispers, rest. By now, you may be noticing your breathing has slowed, your limbs a little heavier, your eyelids more willing to comply. That's your melatonin, in part. But it's also you choosing stillness. You syncing up. You trusting that your skin has already done half the work. You're still lying there, maybe with one leg peeking out of the covers, trying to find that perfect sleep temperature. Meanwhile, your skin continues doing its silent detective work, scanning, sensing, and reporting. What it's waiting for now is backup from your eyes. Because while your skin might be the first responder in this whole melatonin preparation act, your eyes are the master regulators. And they're a little dramatic about it. See, your retinas contain a very specific kind of photoreceptor, not for vision, but for timekeeping. They're called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. Go ahead and say that out loud in a sleepy whisper if you want. Sounds fancy, but all they really do is measure how blue the light is. When it's daytime, especially mid-morning to early afternoon, the blue part of the light spectrum is dominant. And those eye cells? They freak out in a helpful way. They shoot messages straight to the brain, particularly to a pea-sized spot called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which sounds like a futuristic spaceship, but it's actually your master circadian clock. That clock then tells your pineal gland, stand down, it's too bright for melatonin right now. But when night creeps in and the blue fades from the spectrum, that same retinal system gives the green light, well, technically a low blue one, to start production. Your pineal gland begins its quiet factory work dripping melatonin into your bloodstream, like soft ink in a nighttime pool. Historians still argue whether this melatonin system evolved primarily for sleep regulation or as an immune modulating tool. Because yes, it does both. But regardless of its ancient role, tonight it's doing something beautifully simple, telling your body it's safe to power down. Let's jump for a moment to an ancient Babylonian belief that the eyes were connected directly to the gods of fate through invisible threads of light. They believed closing one's eyes at night sealed that connection. Now, we're not saying your retinas are plugged into some divine control panel, but in a way, they are steering the ship of your internal time. And here's the plot twist. Your eyes and skin aren't working in isolation. They're synchronizing. Picture them as two musicians tuning to the same quiet note. Your skin catches the soft ambient cues. Your eyes confirm the absence of high-energy blue light. And somewhere deep inside, your pineal gland nods, satisfied. All right, let's put this system into sleep mode. You know that weird moment right before you doze off, when the world feels far away, but you're still kind of conscious? That's melatonin tightening its grip. It's sedating neurons, calming cortisol, slowing your breathing. But it needed both your skin and your eyes to begin the ritual. Now imagine trying to sleep with a tablet glowing inches from your face. Your skin reads the light and thinks, weird, but okay. Your eyes, they sound the alarms. Too much blue, abort melatonin. And so your brain delays sleep, delays repair, delays dreams. Here's the kicker. Melatonin isn't just for drifting off. It's also an antioxidant, a cellular janitor, a nighttime repair crew in a little hormone costume. And its effectiveness depends on how gracefully your body receives the signal to begin. Fumbling that signal with bright lights in late-night stress? It's like showing up to a spa and yelling through the whole massage. Fringe tidbit time. Some animals use eye-based melatonin to regulate hibernation. Arctic ground squirrels, for instance, have a retinal melatonin surge when the long dark season begins, and it's part of what triggers their months-long nap. There's even evidence that blind humans still maintain melatonin rhythms, though often more fragile because skin and other non-visual photoreceptors still pitch in. So where does this leave you, curled up here with your phone under your chin? Maybe ready to close your eyes, maybe already halfway there. Here's something delightfully mundane. The longer you keep your eyes closed in darkness, the more melatonin builds. It doesn't plateau immediately. It's a gentle incline. That's why dimming the lights hours before bed works so well. You're prepping the eyes and skin for agreement, getting both departments to stamp the same sleep approval form. And in case you were wondering, yes, there's still scholarly debate about whether skin-based melatonin can fully substitute for pineal output in extreme conditions, like, say, astronauts in constant daylight. Some researchers believe skin-derived melatonin helps buffer the system when the main clock falters. Others argue it's more of a localized skin protection mechanism. Either way, it means your skin and eyes aren't just passive surfaces. They're active timing tools. You are, in a very literal sense, covered and lined with biological clocks. Remember those old-timey watches you had to wind by hand? That's you. Except you're winding the mechanism not with gears, but with darkness, with stillness, with the soft act of letting your eyes close and your skin relax into shadow. Let's throw in one last whisper of history before we drift deeper. In ancient Chinese medicine, the eyes were linked to liver function, and nighttime was liver time on the body clock, roughly between 1 and 3 a.m. Practitioners believed that closing the eyes preserved qi and kept the liver balanced. Now, modern circadian biology might not use the same terms, but guess what's pulsing in the background? Your liver's repair processes, fueled in part by melatonin. So tonight, as you let your eyes rest and let your skin breathe in the quiet dark, just remember, you're tuning an orchestra of rhythms. And every blink, every dimmed bulb, every skipped scroll session, it all helps the melody play. So now your eyes have done their part, dimmed, closed, and quietly relaying the all-clear signal to the brain. But what happens when the skin takes the lead? This is where the idea of peripheral clocks comes into play. No, not the ticking kind on your microwave. These are cellular clocks, tiny gears inside your skin, cells as spinning in sync with the sun, or sometimes spinning out of step like a jet-lagged dance troupe. You see, while your brain houses the master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus we met earlier, your skin hosts its own timekeeping system. Each skin cell carries a 24-hour rhythm encoded into its DNA. And that rhythm doesn't just run because your brain says so. It can be influenced, reprogrammed, even by what the skin itself detects from its surroundings. Soft light in the evening? The skin notes it, adjusts gene expression. Harsh fluorescent lights at midnight? The skin panics a little, maybe tweaks its antioxidant activity, maybe delays cell division. It's not moody, it's responsive. Now here's the quirky part. These peripheral clocks don't always follow the brain's orders. In fact, if your central clock is synced to one time zone and your skin is living in another, say you're up all night working under bright lights, then your body ends up with internal jet lag. Your skin might think it's midday while your brain is trying to sleep. And that discord shows up in odd ways. Poor wound healing, increased sensitivity, accelerated aging. It's like when a symphony plays with one section wildly out of tune. There's still music, but it's jarring, dissonant, and kind of stressful to listen to. Historians still debate who first discovered these outlying timekeepers. Was it the plant biologists who noticed leaves opening and closing without sunlight? Or was it sleep researchers mapping hormonal rhythms and shift workers? Either way, it took a while before humans realized our cells aren't just following top-down orders, they're listening locally. Here's a wild fringe tidbit. In some experiments, scientists have isolated skin cells in Petri dishes and observed them continuing their circadian patterns for days without any connection to the brain or bloodstream, just ticking along like tiny independent time machines. Now let's make it real. You're brushing your teeth late at night, maybe under a blinding bathroom light. Your face feels a little dry, a little tight. What you don't feel is that your skin clocks are wincing, squinting, metaphorically, against that unexpected brightness. Because light exposure, even at the skin level, resets those clocks. It's like yelling, "Wake up," at someone who was already halfway asleep. And it's not just light. Temperature, humidity, even what you put on your skin, all of it can cue or confuse the rhythm. Some research even hints that your skin's clocks respond to the timing of food intake. Yep, that midnight snack might be whispering to your forehead pores, telling them it's lunchtime in Skinville. Here's a sleepy thought experiment. Imagine your skin wearing tiny wristwatches. Some sync to dawn, some to when you apply moisturizer, others to when you stop scrolling your phone in bed. Not all of them agree on what time it is. And that misalignment? That's what contributes to that tired but wired feeling, or why your face looks puffy after a poor night's sleep. Your skin's clockwork got scrambled. Ancient systems had their own ways of describing this. In Ayurvedic medicine, for instance, there's the concept of dinacharya, a daily rhythm of cleansing, resting, and nourishing that aligns with nature's cycles. While they didn't talk about genes and photoreceptors, the principle was strikingly similar. Keep your body in tune with the sky, and health follows. In modern science, it's catching up. Skincare researchers now consider time of day when testing products. Dermatologists are exploring chronocosmetics, creams that activate differently depending on whether it's morning or night. Because the skin's permeability, oil production, and even DNA repair activity change as the day rolls on. One mainstream fact that might surprise you: collagen production peaks at night, not during your 2 p.m. Zoom call. While you're dreaming, your skin's clockwork flips the switch on repair mode, but it can only do that if it got the right cues beforehand. Now think back to the last time you pulled an all-nighter or binge-watched a show until 3 a.m. Your skin didn't just look tired, it was confused. It had missed its window to turn on those reparative programs, or worse, had begun activating daytime genes at the wrong moment. So what's the fix? Simplicity, really. Dim lights in the evening, cooler temperatures, maybe even a short nighttime skincare ritual, not just for the sake of pampering, but to signal, "Hey skin, it's night now, time to do your thing." And while we're here, let's whisper one more strange possibility into the dark. Some scientists believe that in future medicine, we'll be prescribing not just medication, but timing. A therapy delivered at 10 p.m. might work better than the same one at 10 a.m. Simply because your skin's clock genes are more receptive. It's called chronotherapy, and it's the gentle science of matching treatment to time. So tonight, as you settle under the weight of your blankets, remember that your skin isn't passive. It's perceptive, rhythmic, a quiet timekeeper pulsing under every pore. Whether you're out in the moonlight or curled under your covers, it's counting down to repair, protection, and renewal. And just like that, the orchestra plays on your skin, humming along, one clock tick at a time. Let's follow melatonin now. Not the pill from the pharmacy, not the sleepy-sounding molecule on the supplement shelf, but the real thing. The one your body makes in the dark, behind the scenes, and surprisingly, not only in your brain. By now, you probably know that melatonin is the hormone of nightfall. But here's the twist. While the pineal gland is often cast as the star of this hormonal play, there's a strong case for your skin as an unexpected co-star. In fact, your skin doesn't just react to melatonin, it actually makes it. Yes, right there in your dermis, your body is brewing microscopic batches of its own night potion. Imagine this: a molecule born in the eye of darkness, traveling through your bloodstream, slipping into tissues like a ghost, but also quietly bubbling up from within your skin, like dew forming from within the grass itself. Melatonin's day job? Protection, specifically from light, which sounds wildly ironic for a molecule famous for liking the dark, right? But let's slow down. You're walking outside just before noon. The sun is high, UV levels are climbing, and unbeknownst to you, your skin cells are already in defensive mode. They're not waiting for a burn, they're deploying melatonin locally, in tiny amounts. to help buffer the oxidative stress that sunlight brings. This is melatonin as the guardian, not just putting you to sleep, but shielding your cells from harm, neutralizing free radicals, supporting DNA repair, and doing it all silently in the background while you check your phone or sip coffee on a park bench. Mainstream researchers now see melatonin as a potent antioxidant, sometimes even more effective than vitamin C or E. And while we usually associate it with bedtime, it turns out its chemical talents are perfectly suited for daytime defense. Its molecular shape allows it to slip into membranes, neutralize reactive oxygen species, and then gracefully degrade into other protective compounds. Quirky detail? Some scientists affectionately call melatonin the molecule of darkness. Because of how shy it is in bright settings, it doesn't like to stick around in light-exposed environments. But in the deeper layers of your skin, protected from direct rays, it may persist longer, carrying out its protective mission long after the sun is set. And if you're wondering how your skin even knows to produce it in the first place, remember those peripheral clocks we talked about? They're in on the game. They help regulate the local release of melatonin based on environmental cues, light, temperature, even the electromagnetic properties of surrounding tissues. There's still debate about how sensitive human skin truly is to subtle changes in light wavelength, but the evidence keeps mounting that your skin is far more intelligent than we once gave it credit for. Here's a wild fringe theory. Some researchers speculate that melatonin evolved not for sleep, but for light management, that its role in circadian rhythm is a secondary adaptation, and its original purpose was to help ancient, single-celled organisms survive early Earth's wild UV radiation, a kind of ancient biochemical sunscreen. Historians still argue whether this theory holds up across evolutionary models, but the poetic part? Your skin may be tapping into an ancestral defense playbook every time it makes melatonin. And let's not forget, melatonin isn't a loner. It partners up with enzymes, with mitochondria, with immune cells. It's not just chilling in the bloodstream waiting for midnight. It's working the day shift in your skin while your eyes squint in the sun. And all this without any need for conscious control. Ever put on sunscreen and then felt like it wasn't enough? That's because UV damage isn't just surface level. It hits your cells, stirs up reactive oxygen species, and creates chaos deep in the dermis. Melatonin is one of the few molecules that can cut through that chaos, not by blocking light, but by cleaning up its mess afterward. And if you're thinking, okay, so should I be slathering melatonin cream on my face now? Well, you're not alone. Topical melatonin is a booming field. There are serums, sprays, and masks promising to calm, hydrate, and protect. But whether they really deliver melatonin in a bioavailable, effective dose is still up for debate. Still, the concept is fascinating. Applying a hormone better known for dreams onto the surface of your skin during the day. Using the nighttime molecule to fight daytime damage. It's like wearing a tuxedo to a beach party and still pulling it off. Now picture this. Your body's a house, and melatonin is the one tenant who's up at odd hours, quietly fixing leaky pipes and patching holes while everyone else is asleep. Or sometimes, while everyone else is awake. It doesn't need attention. It just needs time and space to do what it does best. So the next time you step into bright light, think about the invisible layer of activity taking place beneath your skin's surface. Melatonin, sliding between molecules, redirecting energy, whispering chemical instructions to cells under siege. You can't feel it. You can't see it. But your skin does. Your room is dark, really dark. The curtains are closed, the electronics are off, and the only sound is the faint hum of your fan. You lie there, eyes closed, body sinking. This is the kind of dark your ancestors knew. The kind of dark that sends a specific message to your skin. It's time. But let's rewind a few hours and shift scenes. Imagine two rooms. In one, a person sleeps in near total darkness. No street lamps outside, no nightlight glowing in the corner. Their skin cools, their breath deepens, and melatonin begins its quiet chemical opera flowing from brain to blood to dermis in perfect harmony. In the second room, a pale blue glow seeps in, maybe from a hallway bulb, a charging phone, or the standby light of a TV. It seems trivial, barely there. But to your skin, it might as well be daylight. This is the strange reality of light exposure during sleep. While your eyelids filter out much of the glow, your skin doesn't have that luxury. And unlike your eyes, your skin doesn't blink. It doesn't get to look away. So even in slumber, your dermal layers are busy translating these faint, ambient wavelengths into hormonal decisions. And in blue-lit rooms, the decision is often, hold the melatonin. This isn't just theory. There's mounting research showing that sleeping in light, even dim light, can suppress melatonin production, increase nighttime cortisol, and impact skin regeneration. Your skin, which should be focusing on repair and immune balance, stays alert. Subtle, low-level stress chemicals get triggered. Inflammatory signals perk up. It's like your skin is stuck on standby, waiting for the real night to begin. In the fully dark room, by contrast, the skin relaxes into its natural rhythm. Melatonin flows more freely. Cellular repair kicks in. Collagen production increases. Even transepidermal water loss drops slightly, helping you retain moisture overnight. That's beauty sleep, quite literally. Now here's a little history flashback. In the 1970s, sleep researchers began noticing that nurses on night shifts had more skin issues, dryness, breakouts, slow wound healing. Initially, this was blamed on stress or poor eating, but later studies pointed towards circadian misalignment and particularly disrupted melatonin cycles. Today, dermatologists are beginning to take this more seriously. Sleep hygiene isn't just about REM cycles and mental health, it's skin health too. The nighttime hormone isn't just telling your brain to power down, it's telling your skin to rebuild. Fringe theory of the evening? Some experimental dermatologists propose that your skin can remember light exposure patterns over days. Meaning, if you sleep under light too often, your skin might adapt to assume that melatonin isn't reliably present at night, changing its repair strategy long-term. That's still a hot debate in chronobiology circles, but if true, it means your sleep environment doesn't just affect you tonight, it leaves hormonal footprints. Here's a fun twist. The color of the light matters. Blue light, like that from screens and LEDs, is particularly effective at halting melatonin. Red and amber lights, far less so. Some studies even suggest warm-tone bulbs in the bedroom could support melatonin's natural flow. Think sunset, not surgery room. And what about your eyes in all this? You'd think closing them would solve the problem. But eyelids are surprisingly thin. They let in about 10 to 15% of external light, especially blue wavelengths. It's enough to suppress melatonin, not fully, but noticeably. So while your eyes are closed, your brain still knows what color the room is. But it's your skin's response that might be the real sleeper hit here. Remember, your skin has its own clocks, its own receptors, and its own melatonin production. And it doesn't shut off at night. It keeps working, responding to the photons it receives or doesn't. Which brings us to the awkward truth. That gentle nightlight you leave on for ambiance, your skin might hate it. There's something oddly poetic about this. That your body wants true night. That even in the safety of modern walls and windows, it still responds best to darkness like a cave-dwelling animal. That silence and shadow aren't just spiritual ideas, they're biological requirements. So tonight, maybe you try it. Turn off the hallway light, drape a towel over that blinking router, banish the blue. Let your skin finally slip into its nighttime role, free of optical distractions. Because while your eyes are closed, your skin is wide awake, listening to the language of light. And more importantly, to the absence of it. You step outside at night just to take out the trash, maybe. Above, there's no moon, but you still squint. Not because the stars are dazzling, but because the entire sky glows faintly beige. That's not natural. That's light pollution. And it's turning your skin's hormone schedule into a blurry mess. Let's put it simply. Your skin evolved under starlight, not sodium lamps. For most of human history, night was dark. Deep, textured, velvet dark. That blackness wasn't just sleep-friendly, it was biologically instructive. Your skin interpreted it as a message to begin repair, to signal melatonin, to let go of the daily oxidative stress. But under artificial night, that message gets garbled. Today, even in rural towns, It's hard to find true darkness. Cities glow from space, an eerie halo of wasted photons bouncing off moisture and particles. That excess light doesn't stop at your windows. It seeps in, creeping across your skin like an invisible sunburn. And your melatonin? It hesitates. Let's not forget, melatonin isn't just a sleep hormone. It's a guardian and antioxidant, a light-sensitive repair signal, and your skin makes it too. In fact, the melatonin in your epidermis may be more powerful locally than what your brain produces for the bloodstream, which means the light hitting your face at 11 o'clock p.m. outside your apartment window isn't just annoying, it's chemically disruptive. So what does this mean for your skin? First, aging. That faint urban glow is enough to confuse your skin's circadian rhythm, suppress local melatonin, and increase oxidative stress. Translation: more fine lines, less repair, a subtle daily erosion. Dermatologists call it inflammaging. You might just call it, why do I look tired even after 8 hours? Second, inflammation. Without proper nighttime melatonin, your skin can't effectively regulate cytokines, those little signaling molecules that tell your immune system what to fix and when. The result? Skin that stays slightly irritated, slightly confused. Think redness, puffiness, occasional breakouts, not dramatic, but persistent. Third, barrier repair. Melatonin helps maintain the lipid matrix of your outermost skin layer. Without it, your skin may struggle to seal itself properly, leading to increased water loss and vulnerability to irritants. Add in some air pollution and a late-night skincare acid, and boom, your epidermis throws a little tantrum. Here's the kicker. Light pollution affects darker skin tones too, and sometimes more visibly. Some early studies suggest melanin-rich skin, which naturally absorbs more UV, might also be more sensitive to nighttime oxidative shifts. The protective pigment works both ways, but it's still vulnerable to circadian mismatch. And now, your random historical detour. In ancient Japan, night was considered a crucial part of the skin calendar. Samurai would sometimes meditate in moonlight, believing it strengthened their internal organs through the skin. While that may sound quaint, some modern biophoton researchers actually study the effects of low-intensity moonlight on skin cell items. Science meet folklore. On the fringe side, there are people pushing for darkness therapy, structured periods of complete light deprivation to reset circadian clocks. Some claim it boosts melatonin, improves skin texture, and helps hormonal balance. Critics roll their eyes, of course. Historians still argue whether ancient healing temples used controlled darkness deliberately or just lacked candles. Now, don't panic. Your city isn't melting your face off. But the truth is gentler and more haunting. Street lamps, LED signs, porch lights, they all add up. A persistent, low-grade interference. Your skin knows it's not night, not really, but all is not lost. You can still create your own pocket of darkness. Blackout curtains, no-glow alarm clocks, amber-tinted bulbs for evening wind downs. Your skin will notice. It doesn't need silence, it needs shadow. Dimness, that old ancestral silence of the sun. And remember this irony, most people apply skincare at night. Serums, retinols, masks. But if the skin thinks it's still daytime, if your epidermal clocks are confused, those products may not work as intended. Some may even backfire. Imagine scheduling a night crew to rebuild a house, then blasting stadium lights over the construction site all night. Confusion, delay, overwork. So as you drift off tonight, spare a thought for your windows. That halo of light outside might seem harmless. But your skin, it knows better. It's still trying to read the stars and plan its repairs. And if you ever wondered why sleeping in the woods feels so restorative, well, now you know. You're lying in bed, the day is done, but your eyes are still adjusting. Not to darkness, but to a blur of blue light that somehow managed to sneak in even with the lights off. A phone screen face down on your nightstand, a router light blinking gently, the soft glow of a hallway nightlight you didn't switch off. Your eyelids flutter, and somewhere just beneath them, your skin is listening. Welcome to the ancient trick of eyelid medicine, a little-known detour through history and hormones. Let's rewind to a time before retinol and SPF 50. In ancient Rome, there was a peculiar belief that the clarity of your vision, and by extension, your perception, could be sharpened by applying balms directly to the eyelids. These weren't just for show. These were infused oils, sometimes mixed with rose, chamomile, or even small traces of lead-based minerals. Yes, lead. Romans were not known for their chemical safety protocols, but the idea wasn't just superstition. It reflected a deeper understanding, or at least suspicion, that the eyes, even when closed, absorb more than just dreams. Fast forward to now, and here comes the modern mirror, topical melatonin. Your skin, including the ultra-thin skin of your eyelids, doesn't just reflect your health, it regulates it. When you apply melatonin-infused creams or serums to your face, especially around the eyes, you're not just moisturizing. You're activating localized circadian signaling. You're sending a whisper to your skin that says, yes, it's night now. You may begin the healing. Here's what happens under that whisper. Melatonin on the skin works both as an antioxidant and a timing cue. It tells your skin cells to wind down metabolism, reduce oxidative reactions, and begin the repair cascade. And when it's placed near the eyes, where blood vessels run close to the surface, the signal may travel faster and further than you'd think. One study, though still debated, suggests that topically applied melatonin can influence even systemic melatonin levels, especially if used regularly at night. Historians still argue whether this mirrors the Roman practice of eyelid unguents or if it's just clever marketing by modern dermatology brands. Either way, it's weirdly poetic. You smear a bit of cream across your tired lids, and a hormonal lullaby begins. Let's talk about application. The skin around your eyes is about 0.5 millimeters thick, 5 times thinner than the rest of your face. That means it absorbs ingredients quickly and shows irritation faster. So if you're slathering on melatonin-rich formulas, know this: less is more. Look for low concentrations, creamy carriers, and always avoid fragrance near the eyes unless you enjoy tears at 2 a.m. Now let's add a strange fringe tidbit to this sleepy cocktail. There's a growing underground trend of people placing tiny dark patches or stickers over their eyelids before bed, not to block light, but to amplify melatonin signaling. The theory? That by stimulating the eyelid skin, lightly pressing or occluding it, you create a feedback loop that triggers the pineal gland more directly. No real studies confirm this, of course, but the fact that it exists says something fascinating. People suspect their skin knows things before they consciously do. And in a way, they're right. Here's a fun metaphor. Your eyelids are like velvet theater curtains. During the day, they rise and fall, shading, blinking, peaking. But at night, they drop, full and heavy, blocking the noise of the stage. Behind them, your eyes and skin don't sleep. They perform softly, slowly, invisibly. In fact, the very act of closing your eyes, sealing them away from light, begins a cascade of hormonal whispers. Melatonin pulses, brain waves shift, the skin's microcirculation changes, your temperature dips. It's not sleep yet, but it's the rehearsal. Remember earlier when we talked about street lights and starlight? Here's where it connects. If your room isn't truly dark, even closed eyelids can't block the story. That faint glow, it bleeds through the thin skin like a warning flare. Your pineal gland squints, hesitates. Your skin pauses its routine. So tonight, consider borrowing from the ancients. Try a light-blocking eye mask, preferably made of silk or bamboo fiber. Add a gentle melatonin serum to your under-eye ritual. Not to knock you out, but to prime the skin clock. Treat your eyelids as the delicate timekeepers they are. After all, your ancestors did, though theirs smelled like crushed herbs and possibly a bit of donkey fat. Melatonin isn't just swallowed in capsules. It can be invited, coaxed, gently painted onto skin. And the eyelids? They're still that quiet doorway between waking and repair, light and the dark comfort of everything after. Picture this: somewhere beneath the surface of your skin, maybe in your shoulder, your neck, or right there on your cheek, melatonin is glowing. Not with the brightness of a flashlight, of course, but in the quiet, almost magical way of nature's softer forms of light. Think of deep-sea jellyfish or glowworms tucked under damp forest leaves. This isn't fantasy. It's called chemiluminescence, and melatonin? It might just be the gentlest light bearer in your entire body. Let's slip into this idea. Melatonin is best known as a hormone of darkness. It comes out at night, it's shy around light, but once it's out, it doesn't just whisper to your brain to fall asleep. It gets to work at the cellular level, handling oxidative stress, calming inflammation, and shielding your DNA like a velvet curtain around a flickering candle. Scientists have long observed how melatonin scavenges free radicals in skin tissues, especially after UV exposure. That's why, by the way, your skin often heals faster overnight. There's a hormonal spa treatment happening just below the surface. Now here's where it gets weird in the loveliest way. There's emerging research showing that melatonin's antioxidant work might give off a form of ultra-weak photon emission. In other words, your skin could be releasing tiny flashes of light as melatonin neutralizes harmful molecules. You can't see it, of course. It's a billion times dimmer than what your eyes could detect, but the glow is technically there. Historians still argue whether ancient Ayurvedic or East Asian traditions sense this healing glow. Some early texts talk about the skin radiating chi or lifelight after sunset rituals. Was it metaphor? Maybe, but the poetic overlap with modern photobiology is hard to ignore. Let's linger in that visual. You're lying in bed, lights off, and deep in your skin melatonin hums. Each molecule steps in like a soft janitor of the dermis, mopping up cellular debris, patching tears in collagen fibers, comforting overheated keratinocytes. And with every molecular handshake, a photon may blink into the dark, then disappear. This, they say, is part of your nightly repair ritual. It's not just beautiful, it's incredibly strategic. Think of melatonin as your skin's nocturnal defense squad. Unlike sunscreen, which works during the day to block UV, melatonin works at night to undo the damage. It soothes sun-stressed skin cells, lowers mitochondrial noise, and even guides stem cell behavior. Some dermatologists have started calling it the night architect of the skin. Of course, that glow-in-the-dark idea doesn't stop at metaphor. Researchers are exploring whether melatonin-inspired compounds could one day help us image inflammation or oxidative stress in real time, like watching cellular weather patterns flicker across the skin. Fringe idea? Sure. But if you told people 50 years ago that your watch could measure your blood oxygen, they'd laugh too. Here's a peculiar side note. Mushrooms, particularly those that glow in the dark, also use melatonin. Bioluminescent fungi like Mycena chlorophyll emit a pale green light at night in tropical forests. And yes, their glow has been linked to melatonin cycles. Nature, it seems, loves to reuse its blueprints. So what does this mean for you tonight? Well, your body is already a quiet firefly colony, if only at the molecular level. You don't need glowing lotion or fancy gear. You just need rest, darkness, and time. Because melatonin doesn't just help you sleep, it helps your skin signal, repair, and in a microscopic way, shine. That's why even small choices matter. Skipping harsh LED lights before bed, letting your skin breathe without makeup or barrier creams, or taking a lukewarm shower to reset your thermal rhythm. All of these things create the perfect backdrop for your melatonin to flicker to life. And while no one's putting tiny cameras under their skin just yet, thankfully, know this: beneath your blanket, wrapped in silence, your body is humming with light you'll never see. 1,000 invisible flickers. Your cells speak in photons. Your melatonin listens. Oh, and just for fun, in the 1970s, a Soviet scientist tried to measure the bioemissions from skin using photomultiplier tubes, those hypersensitive light detectors. What did he find? That human skin does indeed glow, particularly at night, and that antioxidant activity seemed to dim or brighten it slightly. Scientists still debate the results. Was it real or just experimental noise? The mystery persists, but mystery is part of the fun. So tonight, even if you can't see it, picture your melatonin working like a tiny candle held inside every cell. A warm, flickering glow just enough to guide you through the night. Your cheeks catch the last color of the sky. That warm amber light as the sun slips under the horizon, your skin notices. It doesn't need you to say, it's sunset, or to check your clock. It feels it, absorbs it, and shifts gears. This right here is where melatonin's second shift begins. While most people think of sunset as simply the end of daylight, your biology treats it like a delicate cue. Your skin reads that softening light like a bedtime story. Specifically, the wavelength of light shifts toward longer, redder tones, exactly the kind of glow your body associates with safety, warmth, and sleep. So tonight, step outside if you can. Let your face bathe in those last rays. Because what looks like pretty lighting for a moody Instagram shot, it's actually the kindling for your inner clock. Let's get into the science of this golden moment. See, your skin is covered in photoreceptors, yes, even though it's not your eye. These receptors, like cryptochromes and opsins, are light-sensitive proteins that detect wavelengths and trigger downstream effects. They're part of your peripheral clocks, and sunset cues them to coordinate with your master circadian rhythm. It's like the conductor of your inner symphony just gave the strings, section, the skin, a knowing nod. You're on in 5. This moment also starts a biochemical wind down. As daylight fades, cortisol dips, and melatonin begins its upward curve. Not instantly, it's a subtle, sneaky slope, but your skin's role in that ramp is more active than you'd expect. One study found that low-angle, warm-hued light hitting skin before bed might actually accelerate peripheral melatonin signaling. In simpler terms, sunsets on your face equals sleepier vibes later on. Historians still argue whether early Greek physicians understood this scientifically or intuitively. Hippocratic texts mention sunset bathing and facial exposure to evening air as part of light cures for melancholy and fever. Whether it worked in the ways we understand now is debatable, but the instinct to treat light as medicine? That's ancient. Here's something quirkier. In some Japanese mountain villages, elders still encourage children to catch sunset with their cheeks. It's not a ritual with a scientific basis, at least not on paper, but locals swear it helps little ones fall asleep faster. Folklore meets photobiology again. So how can you take advantage of this? Start small. Open a window during golden hour. Let the light hit your skin for 5 or 10 minutes. No screens, no glass barrier. Just your face in the falling sun. If you're lucky enough to have an outdoor spot, porch, balcony, curb, go there. Breathe. Feel the air cool slightly. Notice how your body starts to unwind without being asked. Because this is the trick. Your skin is smarter than your schedule. You may have work to finish, dishes to wash, emails to send, but your epidermis doesn't care. It has seen the amber shift and started the countdown. Whether or not you follow its lead, entirely up to you. And there's a bonus. That soft light, it's anti-inflammatory. There's growing evidence that near-infrared light, like the kind that hits just before night, can soothe reactive skin, reduce redness, and even stimulate mitochondrial activity. Yep, your skin cells breathe more efficiently under those tones. Ever heard of sunset therapy? Probably not. But athletes use red light therapy for muscle recovery, and some dermatologists now recommend brief late-day exposure for clients with psoriasis or eczema. It's nature's light box, and you don't need a fancy gadget to use it. One strange anecdote. A fashion photographer once claimed that models look best in golden hour not just because of the light's warmth, but because their skin is actually responding to it on a biochemical level. You can feel the skin soften, he said. It glows not from makeup, but from something deeper. It's poetic, and maybe a bit true. So the next time you notice the sky turning pink and gold, don't just admire it, receive it. Let your skin participate. Let your circadian system synchronize. Because that moment, it's not just pretty. It's medicine. It's timing. It's a gentle nudge toward hormonal harmony. Think of it this way. Sunset on your face is like hitting the start sleep button an hour before your pillow sees action. It's the calm before the calm, the light that tells your melatonin, all right, let's warm up backstage. And maybe that's why sunset feels so good, not just visually, but viscerally. Your biology remembers what your mind forgets. This is how rest begins. Steam rises, water glows, and you half drowsy, half dreaming, sink into the bath, chasing a kind of comfort your ancestors have trusted for centuries. But tonight, we're not here to chat spa vibes. We're here to follow a sleepy molecule making a stealthy escape from your skin and brain. Melatonin, and the unlikely accomplice helping it out of hiding? Heat. Warm baths before bedtime aren't just cozy, they're chemical cues. Specifically, they trigger a well-timed dip in core body temperature that seems to whisper directly to your pineal gland. Okay, we're ready now. And the skin? Oh, it's not just lounging, it's helping deliver the message. When you soak in warm water around 104 degrees F or 40 degrees if you're the precise type, your skin's blood vessels dilate. That surface-level circulation kicks into overdrive. It's like turning up the volume on your body's thermal sensors. And as your core temperature gradually drops afterward, this signals your body that the day is ending, even if the clock insists it isn't. This cooling is what sleep researchers call a thermobiological trigger. It tells your inner timekeeper that it's time to dim the lights inside your head. And right on cue, melatonin levels rise, starting in the brain, but with a surprising cameo from your skin. Historians still argue whether ancient Roman bathhouses truly understood this nightly prep effect. They sure weren't measuring hormonal rhythms. But what we do know, many Romans bathed in the early evening, just before supper and bed. Coincidence? Or the original circadian optimization? The jury's still soaking. A lesser-known twist? Your skin may also be producing and releasing its own local melatonin during and after bathing. Yep, your skin's melatonin isn't just a passive listener, it can act like its own sleepy little factory. And here's where things get interesting. Some dermatologists believe the combination of heat, moisture, and post-bath skin hydration may enhance melatonin's bioavailability at the surface. That means your skin doesn't just help signal sleep, it could actually soak in the chemistry of rest. In Japan, where bathing is practically a spiritual event, there's a term. The moment right after you leave the tub. It's sacred, you're warm, loose, peaceful. Some families dim the lights during uagari time. Some even burn sandalwood incense, an aroma now associated with reduced cortisol and mild melatonin boosts. It's a full sensory lullaby. Now for the quirky fringe. There's a niche group of wellness enthusiasts who swear by combining warm baths with melatonin-infused lotions. They apply these immediately after toweling off, claiming that the open pores and increased circulation let the hormone lock in deeper. Is there solid science behind this? Maybe not yet, but the logic isn't entirely flawed. And then there's the classic timing debate. When is the best moment to take this magical bath? Most sleep experts say 90 minutes before bed. Why? That gives your body time to cool off, to reach that low-temp sweet spot where melatonin peaks and sleep pressure rises. It's a sleepy domino effect. Heat, skin vasodilation, core cool down, melatonin release, drowsy bliss. But here's the kicker, your skin leads the charge. It's the first responder in this thermoregulation dance. It signals, it responds, it radiates the heat away from your organs. And you just feel relieved. Remember that study on blue light and skin confusion from earlier? Baths are the opposite. Where screens stimulate, soaking deactivates. You're switching off alerts. And the skin reads that as permission to begin healing, rehydrating, and preparing for cellular repair. Historians have also noted that even in harsh desert environments, think ancient Mesopotamia people ritualistically washed before sleep. Not just for hygiene, some texts describe moon water bathing under starlight. Whether that's poetry or practice is unclear, but you can't deny the poetry. Now imagine, you've finished your bath, you step out, your skin is pink, relaxed, maybe a little wrinkly from the soak. Melatonin is rising. Your eyelids grow heavier, not from fatigue, but from the slow chemical lull of readiness. You're no longer in action mode. You're in receive mode. And your skin? It's one step ahead, already signaling every cell. The sun is gone, let's get quiet. So maybe the bath isn't optional. Maybe it's the first ritual. Not a luxury, but a soft command. A cue that everything in your body has been waiting for. Remember, your skin is more than a barrier. It's a messenger, a filter, a synchronizer. And in the warmth of water, it finds its truest voice. So next time you fill the tub, think of it not as an indulgence, but as circadian therapy. A 30-minute soak might be doing more than relaxing your muscles. It could be lighting the first tiny candle inside your endocrine system, calling sleep towards you one warm molecule at a time. You lie there in bed, eyes closed, but somewhere under the surface, your skin is still awake. It sounds like the start of a horror movie, right? But don't worry, this is soft science, not sci-fi. Because as it turns out, your skin might not be waiting for your brain to fall asleep. In fact, it might not be waiting for your brain at all. There's a growing idea, still debated, of course, that your skin operates with a kind of slow sensory intelligence. Not thoughts, not feelings, but patterns, responses, memory, a kind of body language fluency whispered entirely in light and hormone. It's a theory sometimes called the skin brain. No, your skin isn't solving math problems, but it does process light, temperature, and chemical cues on its own terms, sometimes even before your central nervous system gets the memo. Researchers have found that keratinocytes, the cells that make up most of your skin's surface, express circadian genes. That's right. These humble skin cells carry internal clocks, thousands of them, ticking, adjusting, syncing like a wristwatch colony, quietly coordinating time beneath your pajamas. Historians still argue whether ancient Ayurvedic texts describing sunbathing the skin for mental balance were talking about something like this. They probably didn't know the word melatonin, but they seemed to recognize that skin contact with natural light had cognitive and emotional effects. Even back then, people suspected the skin was doing more than keeping the rain out. Here's a fringe twist. Some researchers have proposed that your skin's clock genes could operate semi-independently from your brain's central clock, especially under chronic disruption like jet lag or shift work. In other words, if your brain gets confused about time, your skin might shrug and keep doing its thing. Quietly rebellious, a little smug. And this is where things get both beautiful and strange. Because in the world of sleep biology, the pineal gland is usually crowned king. It runs the melatonin show. It's centrally located in your brain, receives light information via the retina, and controls the hormonal dimmer switch for sleep. But now imagine this. What if the skin has its own tiny chorus of melatonin producers? Not just echoing the brain, but acting locally, according to their own timeline, producing little pulses of melatonin in response to light, touch, temperature, regulating their own oxidative stress, inflammation, repair cycles. You wouldn't need a top-down order to begin winding down for the night. That's the skin-brain theory in a nutshell. And while it's not fully proven, there's evidence. Take skin grafts, for example. Studies show that transplanted skin maintains its original circadian rhythm for days, sometimes weeks after being moved to a new location on the body, which means those skin cells aren't just reacting to local signals, they seem to remember time, as if time is baked into their chemical identity. Let's throw in one more curious fact. Your skin's barrier function fluctuates across the day. At night, it becomes slightly more permeable. Some scientists think that's not just about temperature. It could be timed for better absorption of repair molecules, including melatonin. This shift also aligns with peak itchiness, peak sensitivity to allergens, and oddly better results from topical skincare. This is why certain dermatologists suggest applying treatments in the evening, not because you're home from work, but because your skin is literally more awake at night. Sleep itself, once thought to be a purely brain-led event, now seems deeply entangled with the skin's daily rhythm. Some think of it as a soft ecosystem. Light hits your eye, signals your brain, triggers melatonin, but also hits your arm, triggers skin response, triggers local melatonin, loops back via the bloodstream, and reinforces your whole body sense of time. That's not a pipeline, that's a feedback loop. Now consider this. What happens when your skin's rhythm and your brain's rhythm fall out of sync? Jet lag is the obvious culprit. But even low-grade exposure to irregular light like scrolling TikTok in bed, or living next to street lamps can throw off the delicate choreography between your central and peripheral clocks. Your brain thinks it's time to wind down, but your skin bathed in artificial blue light disagrees. It's like trying to sleep in a house where half the rooms are blasting techno. And while we still don't fully understand the health consequences of this misalignment, early research suggests it might contribute to everything from poor wound healing to increased skin aging, even immune reactivity. Which brings us back to the melatonin in your skin, not just as a sleepy hormone, but as a kind of nighttime guardian. It defends, it regulates, it whispers, hey, it's time. Historians still puzzle over indigenous sleep rituals involving clay masks and plant oils applied before bed. Some interpret these as spiritual practices, others as primitive skincare. But what if they were both? What if our ancestors intuitively understood that treating the skin at night was more than just a beauty habit? It was a way to help the body remember when to rest. So here you are, eyes closed, brain drifting, but your skin layered with its own clocks, genes, and tiny chemical thoughts remains gently alert. Not stressed, just observant. It senses the coolness of the air, the dryness of your pillow, the absence of sunlight, and it adjusts. You're not alone in the dark. Your skin is already doing the bedtime work. Even while you sleep, it's cycling through rhythms, reducing water loss, promoting cell turnover, fighting oxidative stress. It might not have a voice, but it has timing. And tonight, the skin brain is right on schedule. Your fingers trace the rim of a jar, creamy, smooth, promising. It smells faintly of lavender, or maybe chamomile. You dab it on your cheeks, rub a little across your forehead, maybe down your neck. A small ritual before bed. But here's the twist. That's not just a jar of night cream. That's melatonin in a jar. Yes, topical melatonin, once just a late-night supplement that you swallowed with water, has crept its way into skincare. Serums, masks, creams, even mists now claim to deliver this sleep molecule straight through your pores. And depending on who you ask, this is either the future of anti-aging or a placebo with good PR. Let's break it down gently. Melatonin is a hormone. We've said that already. It's produced primarily by the pineal gland, yes, but also in your skin, gut, eyes, and even bone marrow. Its role? To help your body respond to light and dark, to regulate circadian rhythm, to serve as an antioxidant, and now to possibly work its magic from the outside in. But here's where it gets delightfully murky. Historians still argue whether the ancient Egyptians used sleep-enhancing salves that mimicked melatonin, though we do know they were blending plant oils with resins and applying them to eyelids at night. Were they tapping into a topical sleep aid or just seeking divine dreams? We don't know. But their instincts weren't far off. Modern science has confirmed that melatonin receptors exist in the skin. That's right. Your skin is capable of recognizing and responding to melatonin directly without needing to ask your brain first. This opens the door to the idea that applying melatonin topically might nudge your skin into a restful, repair-oriented state. Now, don't get too excited. The skin is a very selective gatekeeper. Most substances, especially hormones, don't just stroll in uninvited. They need the right molecular size, the right vehicle, the right environment. Enter the skincare formulators. These are the quiet alchemists who figured out how to suspend melatonin in lipid carriers or encapsulate it in microemulsions so that it might pass through the stratum corneum, your skin's outermost crust, and deliver antioxidant benefits deep in the dermis. Fringe idea? Maybe. But small-scale studies have shown promising results. Topical melatonin has been observed to reduce redness, support collagen production, and help skin recover from UV exposure. Not unlike retinol, but gentler, softer, sleepier. Of course, the field is still new. The exact dosage, delivery, and long-term effects are up for debate. One dermatologist's miracle molecule is another's marketing gimmick. The FDA doesn't regulate these products as tightly as oral medications, so what you're buying might vary wildly in concentration and efficacy. Still, the idea of melatonin as a skin whisperer persists, And it's not just about anti-aging. Some people apply melatonin creams to soothe eczema, psoriasis, or sensitive post-treatment skin. Others use it as part of a bedtime layering ritual, pairing it with niacinamide or hyaluronic acid for that dewy, glassy look by sunrise. There's something poetic about that, isn't there? You standing barefoot in the bathroom, dabbing hormone-laced lotion on your face, not to stay awake, not to energize, but to turn off, to tell your body, we're done for today. And you're not alone in this. The global skincare market has embraced the sleepy trend. Chronocosmetics, they're calling it, products tailored to your circadian rhythm. Morning gels that wake up your skin, evening serums that lull it into regeneration. One brand markets their melatonin cream with the phrase, "As your mind unwinds, let your skin follow." Bit cheesy? Yes, but also oddly comforting. Now let's pull back for a moment, because even if topical melatonin isn't absorbed perfectly or works only subtly, it still offers a benefit that science sometimes overlooks. Ritual. That nightly moment when you pause, breathe, smooth a cream across your cheeks. That counts, that helps. Because sleep isn't just biology, it's choreography. And tiny bedtime gestures help cue your internal stage crew. Lights dimming, curtains closing, the hush before dreams. Historians might smirk at our fancy jars and serum names, but the act, that's timeless. We've always reached for something to soothe our skin before bed. Oils, salves, petals, even fermented milks in ancient Greece. And now melatonin. There's a kind of romance to that. You're not just moisturizing, you're sinking. You're entering a quiet pact with your skin. Let's heal tonight. Let's soften. And while the full scientific verdict is still out, one thing is clear: sleep is more than rest. It's restoration, and anything that helps your body remember that, even if it smells like lavender and comes in a glass jar, might just be worth the nightly touch. So tonight, as you tap the lid closed and rub the last bits into your knuckles, remember, melatonin isn't only coursing through your bloodstream. It might also be soaking gently into your skin, like a hush, like a whisper, like moonlight in a bottle. You step out onto a balcony. Maybe it's real, maybe it's just your imagination. But either way, the night air is balmy, quiet, and carries the distant hum of life. You tilt your face toward the stars, or the clouds, or the street lamps pretending to be stars. And here's where your skin starts making choices. Welcome to the strange journey of your melatonin cycle as it travels on holiday. Yes, just like your suitcase, your hormones pack light and adapt quickly to new environments. And melatonin? She's a traveler with serious jet lag potential. Let's start with the basics. Melatonin is secreted largely in response to light cues, particularly the blue light of daytime and the warm amber fade of sunset. So what happens when you move across the world, say from Norway in winter to the Philippines in summer? Your inner clocks, pineal, retinal, and cutaneous, begin the awkward dance of adjustment. Historians still argue whether early seafarers experienced circadian shock when crossing latitudes, but ship logs often describe weeks of restlessness, sluggish moods, and blotchy skin after long journeys. Not exactly peer-reviewed, but poetic enough to raise eyebrows. Here's the dreamy science part. Your skin, as we've learned, isn't just a passive surface. It hosts its own melatonin receptors and even produces the hormone locally. But it does this in response to local conditions, especially the ambient light, temperature, and humidity. So when you travel to a new climate zone, your skin's peripheral clocks need to reset, sometimes slower than your brain. This misalignment can lead to a kind of hormonal jet lag. Your brain thinks it's bedtime, your skin thinks it's lunchtime, and your whole system gets cranky. You might break out, dry out, or just feel off in ways you can't quite explain. Now let's take a dreamy detour. In equatorial regions, where the days and nights are nearly equal year-round, melatonin cycles tend to stay stable. Your body gets a reliable light-off, hormone-on signal each evening. No surprises, no roller coasters. Contrast that with high-latitude places like Sweden or Alaska. There, the sun might vanish for weeks in winter and never set in summer. This creates what researchers call melatonin flattening, a blunted rhythm where your hormone levels don't rise and fall as sharply. That flat line can throw off your mood, energy, even skin regeneration, which is why Nordic spas became such a thing. Steam, cold plunges, candlelight, they're not just cozy, they're an attempt to simulate a normal rhythm when the sun doesn't cooperate. Of course, people adapt. Indigenous communities in polar zones develop social rhythms, rituals, sleep patterns, and even skincare routines that supported melatonin cycling without direct sun. They relied on firelight, animal rhythms, and communal rest periods that mimicked circadian pacing. Historians still debate whether traditional Inupiat clothing patterns with light-dark contrast sewn into hoods and cuffs were functional camouflage or subtle tools to help entrain light-sensitive biology. Either way, it's a reminder. Humans have always played with light. Meanwhile, in tropical climates, local flora and fauna evolved alongside consistent melatonin rhythms. That's why many plants release their most potent aromatic oils at dusk, because even the leaves have circadian clocks. And when you breathe in those scents, your body reacts. Your vagus nerve stirs. Your skin calms. Your pineal gland perks up like, yes, this is the moment. Which brings us to today's globalized, light-blurred, jet-lagged world. You might live in Manhattan but sleep under blackout curtains with a sunrise lamp and an essential oil diffuser set to Thai basil. You're curating your melatonin environment, recreating light cues your ancestors experienced more naturally. But your skin? Still playing catch-up sometimes. Because unlike the brain, which can adapt to new time zones in a few days, the skin might need longer, especially if you're crossing seasons or altitudes. Humidity, temperature, air quality, and UV index all influence how your skin produces and uses melatonin. There's even emerging research suggesting that pollution interferes with cutaneous melatonin signaling like static on a radio. Now picture this. You're on a beach, a real one. The sky is fading into a coral gradient. You're not just sun-kissed, you're sunset-synced. Your melatonin levels begin to rise, your cortisol falls, and your skin starts shifting into repair mode. That's not just vacation glow. That's chemical alignment. But the moment you return to the fluorescent airport or the LED-filled city, that natural alignment snaps. Your skin starts whispering, wait, what happened to the starlight? And it doesn't forget quickly. That's why many people report skin flare-ups after returning from tropical vacations. It's not just sunscreen leftovers, it's a circadian hiccup. Your hormones are unpacking their metaphorical suitcases, trying to figure out what time zone they're in. So what can you do? You can't always live on an island, but you can simulate the signals your skin needs. Dim the lights at night. Spend time outside in the morning. Use amber-tinted bulbs in the evening. Eat at consistent times. And maybe, just maybe, give your skin a gentle reminder in the form of a lavender-scented melatonin cream. Because your skin is listening. Always has been. It listens to wind, to sunrise, to the angle of light hitting your cheekbone at 7:03 p.m. And when it hears those cues clearly, it rests, it heals, it glows just a little bit more. So here you are home again, or somewhere like it. You've journeyed through sunlight and streetlight, spa steam and jet lag. Your skin, despite everything, is still doing its job, filtering, sensing, adjusting. But sometimes the clocks get out of sync. And when they do, things start to feel a little weird. We call it circadian misalignment, or if you're the poetic type, skin chaos. Let's zoom in on this twilight phenomenon. You lie down in bed at night, totally exhausted, but your body feels buzzy. Your heart rate won't slow. You're tired, but somehow alert. The fan's on, the room's dark, but inside, you're still lit up like Times Square. And your skin, it's part of the problem. See, your skin runs on rhythms just like your brain. It has its own 24-hour clock genes, tuning cycles of cell division, oil production, blood flow, and yes, melatonin release. And when your brain's clock and your skin's clock fall out of step, it's like jazz gone wrong. Offbeat, confusing, and hard to dance to. Historians still argue whether ancient medical texts referencing night heat or sunless inflammation were talking about skin circadian issues, but the symptoms line up. Dry patches, flushed cheeks, weird itches, or just that feeling that your skin isn't right. One classic culprit? Jet lag. Hop a few time zones and your central clock governed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain starts the process of realigning. But your skin, it's waiting for sunlight, food cues, sleep, and temperature shifts. Without those, it gets moody. And we don't mean metaphorically. There's real evidence showing that circadian disruption can affect skin barrier function. That means your skin might become more reactive, more sensitive to irritants, more prone to flare-ups. The tight junctions between cells loosen. Water escapes. Pathogens sneak in. It's like leaving the front door ajar at night and hoping the raccoons don't notice. But you don't have to fly around the world to mess up your rhythm. Working night shifts, scrolling in bed, eating dinner at 11 p.m., sleeping all weekend and waking early Monday. Each of these is a micro time zone shift for your body, and your skin responds accordingly. There's even a name for this: social jet lag. It's the circadian version of living two lives, one for work, one for weekends. And while your brain might power through, your skin quietly raises its eyebrows and mutters, "Excuse me?" Here's the real kicker. Most skincare routines completely ignore time. You might cleanse, tone, moisturize, but when? And why then? Because someone on TikTok said double cleanse at night? What if your skin doesn't need that right now? Science is starting to lean into chronocosmetology, the idea that certain ingredients and treatments work better when timed to your skin's biological clock. For example, studies suggest that retinol absorption peaks in the evening when cell turnover is highest. Antioxidants might do their best work in the morning when UV damage kicks off. And topical melatonin, that dreamy little hormone, it might be most effective right before bed when your skin's own levels start to climb, but only if your clocks are in sync. Let's go back to the body's master clock, the pineal gland. When it's triggered by darkness, it floods your system with melatonin. That hormone doesn't just make you sleepy, it sends signals downstream to your skin, your gut, your immune system. It tells them night has fallen, repair, restore, rejuvenate. If you interrupt that by bathing in blue light before bed or eating a burrito at 1 a.m., you scramble the message. Your skin might still be stuck in day mode, producing oil, resisting healing, and skipping melatonin production altogether. So what can you do to fix it? Let's be gentle here. No harsh resets, no 5 a.m. boot camps, just soft course correction. First, embrace light discipline. That means exposing your skin and eyes to real morning sunlight, ideally within the first hour of waking. It anchors your body clock. Then ease into low light modes in the evening, warm bulbs, candlelight, or if you're feeling fancy moon simulators. Yes, that's a thing. Second, cool down, literally. Your body's core temperature needs to drop slightly for melatonin to rise. That's why warm baths before bed are so effective. They create an artificial spike in heat, followed by a soothing dip. Your skin reads that as a nighttime cue and begins shifting into nocturnal repair mode. Third, think rhythm, not routine. Give your skin consistency, not rigidity. Sleep at similar times. Eat at regular intervals. Use your nighttime skincare not as a checklist, but as a signal, a sensory lullaby saying that now is the time to soften. Oh, and here's a fringe tidbit you didn't ask for. In some folk traditions, rubbing the soles of the feet with sesame oil before bed was believed to calm the nerves and clear the skin. Scientists aren't sure if it's the oil, the pressure, or just the ritual, but it probably helped reset clocks. And finally, listen to your skin's whispers. It doesn't shout, it sighs. It tells you when it's tired, when it's dry, when it's confused. You can't solve everything with serums and silk pillowcases, but you can honor the rhythm. Because under it all, beneath the layers of pollution, stress, blue light, and midnight snacking, your skin is trying very hard to remember what time it is. And maybe, just maybe, you can help it find the beat again. And now we drift into the final chapter of this gentle journey, where everything we've uncovered about melatonin, skin, and time loops back to one quiet idea: connection. Your body, after all, is one complete landscape, Not a machine with isolated parts, but a constantly communicating ecosystem. And melatonin, this humble, sleepy molecule, is one of its softest messengers. It's not just about your brain switching off. It's about your entire body, your skin, your eyes, your breath, sinking into a nightly rhythm designed to heal and protect. It's quiet work, invisible mostly, but vital. Here's the poetic twist. The same melatonin that tells your brain it's bedtime is also whispering across your dermis, your epidermis, your subcutaneous layers. It's moving in tiny pulses, soothing inflammation, encouraging repair, even defending against tomorrow's sunlight. You could almost picture it glowing in microscopic waves like nature's chemiluminescent lullaby, guiding each cell back to balance. And while most people know about the pineal gland, the brain's internal timekeeper, fewer, realize just how many other parts of your body also keep time. Your gut, your liver, your skin, all ticking in sync, ideally, with the sun and stars. When those clocks align, something strange happens. Healing feels easier. Sleep feels deeper. Even your mood lightens, as if your nervous system can finally exhale. But let's not pretend modern life makes that easy. You live in a world of bright screens, late-night emails, streetlights that outshine the moon. And your skin? It's still stuck trying to make sense of the darkness it doesn't always get. Historians still argue whether some ancient rituals like face covering at night or painting the skin with dark clays were based on spiritual beliefs or early understandings of light sensitivity. But in either case, they were tapping into something real. Your skin reacts to light, and when that light is wrong, your rhythms stagger. That's where modern solutions meet ancient instincts. Maybe your wind-down routine isn't just self-care. Maybe it's clock repair. That warm bath you take before bed, it doesn't just feel good, it helps shift your body toward night mode. Your core temperature drops, melatonin emerges, skin blood flow increases, prepping your surface for overnight repair. That dim lamp in the corner, that's your proxy sunset. Even your skincare, when timed with care, can become part of this rhythm. Night creams that contain melatonin or adaptogens or gentle oils may not just hydrate, they might signal. They might say, the day is over, it's time to soften. And yes, your environment matters. A cool room, a dark ceiling, no glowing clocks or silent TV flickers. All of it contributes to your body's sense of time. Because here's a delightful, slightly spooky truth. Your skin is always listening, always watching, even when your eyes are closed. Let's return to that idea from earlier, the skin brain. The theory that your skin processes light and temperature almost like a second, softer thinking mind. Not because it has thoughts, Shelley, but because it remembers. It reacts, it adjusts. That's what melatonin is responding to. Not just darkness, but darkness that means something. That signals safety, that says it's okay to let go now. Of course, there are debates. Scholars still argue about how much melatonin your skin produces on its own, how deeply it penetrates from serums or creams, or whether peripheral clocks matter as much as the master one in your brain. But those questions don't change the practical truth. Your skin responds to routine, to temperature, to light, to time, and so do you. Maybe that's the softest science of all. Not just understanding the molecule, but respecting the mood it's trying to set. So tonight, maybe you'll look at your bedtime differently. Not just something to crash into, but a window for syncing all your clocks. Maybe you'll let your room go dim a little earlier. Maybe you'll press a cool palm to your cheek and feel that quiet reminder. Your skin is part of your sleep. Maybe you'll notice the shadows stretch across your walls and feel, deep in your dermis, that it's time to shift gears, to close the blinds, turn down the world, and let the melatonin do its work. Not just in your brain, but everywhere. Now take a long, slow breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop just a bit. Let your jaw unhook. Let your feet get heavy, your skin soften like warm wax under moonlight. Whatever's still buzzing in your head can wait. You've done enough for today, more than enough. Let the dark wrap around you like silk. Let the quiet pulse of melatonin carry you inward. Not as a drug or a trick, but as a signal, an ancient code, skin to cell, cell to system, system to soul. You don't need to do anything now. Not fix, not scroll, not think. Just float. The clocks are syncing, your skin remembers, and you're safe to sleep.